Sup y'all, and welcome to the Perfect Storm Part 10. And in this video, we're going to continue looking at nationalist movements and ask this essential question. What nationalist movements took hold in China and Japan during the interwar period? Now, moving on to China, in 1919, that country descended into chaos. The Chinese came under further domination after the Paris Peace Conference, where they fell under further domination by the West. Also, Japan had gained control of the German territories in China. This added to a time that was known as the warlord era in China, between 1916 and 1928, where many different military factions throughout China gained control of their particular regions. Now, an influential leader called Sun Yat-sen, also called Sun Yat-sen, was a Western-educated Chinese doctor who formed the Kuomintang, or the National People's Party. It combined nationalism, democracy, and socialism. Now, Sun sought help from the Soviets up in Russia because, believe it or not, the Western powers had largely ignored the pleas of many Chinese to create a democratic China. Also, Lenin's views equating imperialism with capitalism resonated with many of the Chinese. So, Sun reshaped the Kuomintang to become a Soviet-style revolutionary party. And after Sun's death in 1925, the power went to Jiang Zeshi, also called Chiang Kai-shek. He took control of the Kuomintang and embarked on a great northern expedition in which he purged thousands of communists, largely because he had learned that the Soviets planned to bring China under the communist control. In 1927, Jiang staged the Shanghai Massacre, where over 20,000 communists were arrested or killed, and this caused a split in the Kuomintang between Jiang's pro-Western faction and the pro-Soviet communists. Jiang continued the Great Northern Expedition, cutting deals with warlords, allowing them some autonomy in their regions as long as they recognized him as the Generalissimo, which is a military rank of the highest degree, above field marshal or general or anything. Jiang controlled the cities and the army, but not the masses, not the peasants in the villages. Someone who did gain a great deal of support from the peasants was Mao Zedong, who was a Marxist, but he claimed that the peasants, not the urban proletariat, could lead China to socialism. Mao established the Chinese Soviet Republic, where many institutions and an army was formed, and he appealed to the peasants and the workers. Now, Jiang Zeshi and his nationalist army attempted to annihilate his opposition and attacked the communists wherever he could. Facing annihilation, in October of 1934, over 100,000 communists, known as Reds, marched toward the northwestern area of China for a new homeland. Along the way, thousands died from attacks by the nationalists, starvation, and difficult conditions. But also along the way, they appealed to many peasants and recruited thousands more. All told, in 1935, fewer than 20,000 had completed the march and established a new headquarters around Yunnan province in northwestern China. As one veteran of the Long March had said, "We finished all our food, so we dug up wild grass and peeled the bark off trees. We even took off our belts and cooked them and added a little salt, and we survived." And in the years following, Mao and Stalin in the Soviet Union attempted to forge an alliance. A couple quotes to show the ideology and difference between these two men. Jiang Zeshi said, "The Japanese are a disease of the skin. It can be cured. The communists are a disease of the soul. It affects the whole body." And Mao Zedong had said, "The Kuomintang is a regime which has replaced the old warlords with new ones, subjecting the working class and the peasantry to an even more ruthless economic exploitation and political oppression." These were certainly two men who did not get along. And we'll quickly finish by looking at Imperial Japan, who had modernized, urbanized, and democratized after World War I. For example, all men who were over the age of 25 were granted the right to vote, but not to women. And in this era, they massively increased their trade. And because of industrialization, Japan also experienced a population boom. There were more than 70 million people in Japan by the 1930s, and with more than half of them living in cities. And this made the 1923 Tokyo earthquake even that more devastating. Over 130,000 deaths were reported in that city alone. One thing that was unique to Japan was the zaibatsu, these privately owned industrial empires that acted as conglomerates, where you have two or more businesses working together. One of the more famous ones that's still known today is Mitsubishi, where they develop cars, aircraft, plastics, and many other goods. And during the time of the Great Depression, the Japanese economy dipped. Because of high tariffs and quotas around the globe, it caused a massive reduction in Japanese exports. Additionally, crop failures were rampant. The Japanese citizens increasingly blamed the leaders, and as a result, the military gained more control, turning Japan into a regime more closely resembling the fascist dictatorships of the West.